My name is Bert Coleman. I work with Mass Wildlife, and today we're going to go over a couple online resources you can use to help scouting for hunting. First one we're going to look at today is the MassWildlife Lands Viewer. You can see this screen here. You have your Lands Viewer to start exploring and a list of wildlife management areas. Today we're going to look at the Lands Viewer, which is an interactive map. The easiest way to get to this is just to Google MassWildlife Lands Viewer. You'll get to this screen. We can click right here on the Lands Viewer to start. So now you can see we have our map of the state. A couple things just to get you started on this. We have our legend down here. So we have our WCs, WMAs. WMAs are what we're going to focus on. Those are wildlife management areas. The areas owned by Mass Wildlife. They're all open to fishing, hunting, trapping, and other passive recreation. Next thing we have is our base map. So we're going to click that, and we're just going to go right ahead and switch that from topographic, which is the default. We're going to switch it right over to imagery with labels. Next thing you have here is to share. So you'll get a link here. If you want to share this map with somebody, you can send them that link. And if you're zoomed in on something, when you share that link, it's going to go to where you were zoomed into. The other two we're going to look at here are print, if you want to print something out, and also your layers list, which we're going to get back to in just a second. The other thing we have up here is our search bar. So you can see it starts by search by site and address. If you want to narrow down, you can click that arrow and sort of filter out what you want to search with these. I like to keep it on all. I think that's the easiest way to use it. And we're going to look at the Francis A. Crane WMA. So when you search that WMA, it's going to zoom you right in. You can see here we have it in green, outlined in blue. So we can see where our WMA is, but can't really see much else about it. You also get this little splash screen, which we're going to X out of for now. So for scouting, you're going to want to see more of what that property actually looks like. So to do that, it's really easy. We're going to come over here to our layers list. I'm going to click that. Find these three dots next to where it says Mass Wildlife Lands. Click on those, go to transparency, and we're going to make this more transparent. So now we can actually see what the property looks like. So now we can even zoom in a little more, start to see roughly what kind of habitat types you might find in there. Some field, some edge habitat, some forested areas. So you have a better look at what it looks like, where you might want to start scouting, depending on what you're hunting, how you're hunting. You just get an idea of sort of a lay of the land. So we also have these P's, which are all for parking, help you figure out how you're going to access the property. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to click back on this again. You can see here we have this fact sheet. You click on the fact sheet, you're going to get to these websites here, and each WMA is going to have this. So you can see here the towns that are in the acreage, wildlife management zone, location, access, and then it's going to tell you about the hunting and fishing opportunities. So maybe you're a new hunter and you're not sure what kind of animals you're going to find in certain areas. This is going to give you an idea of what is known to be on this WMA. You also have some other useful links, the hunting regulations, fishing regulations, and it's going to give you the contact for the local district office if you have any questions about this WMA. So you can see in the hunting and fishing opportunities, right in the first sentence there, it says this area is stocked with ringneck pheasants during that season. So maybe you're looking to hunt pheasants, and you can certainly find areas that are stocked with pheasants on the Lands Viewer. But another way to find it, if that's really what you're looking for, is to go to the Massachusetts pheasant stalking maps. So when you open our pheasant stalking map, this is what you're going to find. You get another map of the state, and you have these different colored dots all across it. Those are all areas where pheasants are stalked, and the color of the dot tells you how often. So red is at least 3 times a week. Orange is at least twice a week, and yellow is at least once. So if you're looking to hunt pheasants, it's a really useful resource for you. So some other lands you might see on the Lands Viewer are these wildlife conservation easements. So you can see the areas are shaded in, but they're a different color than the WMAs. So these are lands that are not owned by Mass Wildlife, but Mass Wildlife has an easement on that property that allows public access, typically allows hunting, but you'd want to check with your district office about that. And you can get that information from those fact sheets we just showed. So you might also notice this one has some lines through it. Quickly, we can go back to the legend here, which has a little more information now that you're zoomed in. And you can see that it has some additional info about access. So all you have to do is click right on that. It's going to show you right up top what that information is. You can see here it's about non-motorized boating and some parking information. So if you're wondering about a conservation easement, you can get some information about those on the Lands Viewer as well. So the next thing we're going to look at is MassMapper. It's the statewide GIS maps for Massachusetts. And again, the easiest way to get to that is to just Google it. When you click through the links, you're going to end up with this here. So you have a full map of the state of Massachusetts. And this has a lot of really great features to help you with scouting. To start, we'll just go through the top, these toolbars up here. So the eye is your default when you open MassMapper, and that's going to give you information on a property when you click on it. The eye with this is if you want to look at several properties at a time, you can draw a polygon on the map and it'll give you information on all those properties. Next thing we have is to measure distances, which is really useful if you want to make sure you're in a legal hunting area. If you're that 500 feet from a dwelling, or if you're 150 feet from a road, this can help you determine that. Next one we have here is a permalink. So if you zoom into an area on the map and create that permalink, you can save that area on the map if you want to relook at it, maybe keep some information on it. A really good way to keep track of all that is just to open up a document and copy and paste that link in there so you can keep track of all that stuff. You can draw on it if you'd like, print the map out. And the last one is export data layers, but we're not going to worry about that for right now. So we also have a search bar here. This search bar, you have to be more specific than you are with the Lands Viewer. You actually have to put in a full street address. So to start, we're just going to type in the address to our field headquarters in Westboro. So bring up the address, you can click on that, it's going to zoom right into that property. Next thing we're going to do is come over here to the base maps, and we're going to switch to 2021 aerial imagery. So now we have aerial imagery that's pretty recent. It's going to cover the whole state. And again, we can zoom out a little bit and we'll move over to this WMA here that's at our field headquarters. You can start to get an idea of what that property sort of looks like. Again, you can see some wetlands, some ponds, some hardwood forests, some coniferous forests, get an idea of what the habitat looks like. So this map has a ton of features that can help you out with scouting. We're just going to focus on a few that I think are the most useful for most people. So to look at those, come over here to all our layers. So if you want to find where the wetlands are on this property, I'm going to come over here to your layers, click on physical resources, hydrography, water features, and then DEP wetlands. Now you can see you have all these different ways to show the wetlands on the property. I like to use detailed with outlines. I think that gives you the best look. So now you can see where the wetlands are on the property, and if you click on them, it can actually tell you what type of wetland it is if you want to get into a little more detail on that. So now that we have those on the map, we want to sort of clean up our layers list here. So click back on DEP wetlands, it's going to hide those. Click back on the water features, it's going to hide those. And we're going to look at one other layer in these physical resources. So come down to topography. I like to use the 3-meter lines. So now you get a topo map superimposed over that aerial imagery. Can give you an even better idea of what this WMA might look like, what you might expect to find, and how you want to plan to scout the property. So we can leave those up there. Again, we're going to click on that to clean things up. Come back up here to physical resources, click back on them to clean things up even more. Keep all this stuff nice and organized so you know what's on the map. The other really nice feature about MassMapper is it's actually going to tell you who owns the property. So maybe you have your eye on a piece of private property that you want to get permission to hunt. This is going to tell you who owns that property, so you either know where to find them, or if maybe they live right on the property, you're going to know their name when you go knock on the door. So if you click on a property, you're going to come to this screen, click property tax parcels, and you can scroll over to ownership. So we can see this is owned by Commonwealth of Massachusetts Wildlife Management Area, but this will work for private properties as well. It's not just for properties open to the public, and you'll have every property in the entire state you'll have this information on, and it's updated about every 30 days, so it's pretty current. So another really useful feature this map has, go back up to this toolbar and find the measuring tool. So if you click on this, you can measure distances and area. For distance, you can do feet, meters, or miles. For this, we're just going to keep it right on feet. And you can use this to make sure that your legal distances from roadways and dwellings, so you're not scouting in areas where you aren't even legal to hunt. So a good way to do this is give yourself some buffer between the building. So if we knew we had to be 500 feet from this building, click here and just scroll out till you get to that 500 feet. And again, it's worth giving yourself a little bit of buffer because these aren't exact, but they are pretty close. So see that we end 543 feet there in this wood line. Maybe look to scout past this wood line so you know you're that 500 feet. Easiest way to do this is to find landmarks that you can find in the field and measure from those. So another really useful tool we have is we can actually look at historic imagery. So to do that, we're going to pop over to this other map here that I had saved using a permalink. And we want to look at what this area looked like in the past. So to do that, we're going to come back over to our layers list. I'm going to click on images, click on aerial photos. So now you can see here, you have aerial imagery from all these past years. So let's see, looked like in 2008, 2009. See the property looks fairly similar. Come back 2005. So this looks like it was either a really wet year or just during the wetter seasons, just to give you an idea of how the property might change over time or what kind of things you might expect to find when you go out there and look. Just give you another quick example of that. Here you can see we have an open field. Again, we're going to go back to images, aerial photos. And again, let's go all the way back to 2005. So you can see it looks a lot different. And if you want to see when those trees were cleared, just keep going through. So 2008 still there. 2011, 12, they're gone. So at some point during that, those trees were cleared. If you're looking for a successional habitat or maybe some more edge, this is a really good way to find that and see how the property's changed over time. So the last tool we're going to look at is Google Earth. And again, you can find this on Google, and you can also use this on your phone, where I think this has its greatest use is if you have a smartphone, you bring that out while you're scouting or while you're hunting, you can actually look on Google Earth right on your phone. So I've got a couple project examples here, give you an idea what this might look like. Click on this one to start. So this is a project that I saved. And again, we're right back at that wildlife management area at our field headquarters in Westboro. You can see here you have waypoints, lines, and actually a polygon. So if you wanted to keep track of how you were going into or out of a property, you could use this. You want to keep track of areas that you already scouted, you could use this here. So really simple to use. All you have to do is go new project. You can also share these. So a good way to do that is Google Drive, but for now we're going to do a KML file. So now you have this up here, your untitled project. Click on new feature. We're just going to add a place mark. We'll add a place mark right there. Okay. You can give it a name. We'll call this one start. And another great feature is you can actually add a photo to that if you'd like. So now we have that. Going to go back. That's going to save. Again, we'll go to new feature. Draw a line or a shape. Let's say you're walking in here. You wanted to keep track of your path. Double click when you're done. And again, you get this where you can give it a title. You can add a picture. Really useful to keep track of all the information that you gather while you're scouting or while you're hunting. Keep it all in one place. If you wanted to draw that polygon to keep track of areas that you've already looked at, again, you can just go to new feature, draw a line or shape. Instead of making a line, you just close it off. So maybe you found a really good area that you wanted to hunt. You could give this a title. We'll just call it Area 1 for now. And you can keep track of all that information. So using this on the computer right now, but if you did have this on your phone, there would be a blue dot here that would show you where you are in real time. So these projects, you're going to have to create on a computer, but then you can use these files to share them to your phone very easily. Google Drive is probably the best way to do that. So you can have all this information out and look at it in real time. Very useful for scouting. The other thing we're going to look at that I think gets overlooked a lot with Google Earth is the street view. So again, I saved another project over here, give you an idea of how this might be useful. So I know this is a place I want to look at the street view. And to look at street view, you're going to come over to this little picture of a person here. Click and hold, drag it out here and leave it on one of these blue lines. So we drop it on that blue line there. Now we're going to come in and get a street view of what this looks like. And where this can be useful really is for access. So say you're looking at something on satellite imagery, you're not sure if you're going to be able to park there or what the access looks like. This is a really great way to figure that out before you spend the time to go out. Even if it's just to eliminate some areas. What I like to use this for is for looking for no parking signs or looking for areas on the side of the road where you can pull off and leave your vehicle. So all really good features that can be used to help with scouting. And the last thing, you see here, we got disoriented, so we're not facing north now. If we come down here to this little arrow, just click that. It's going to reorient the screen so north is always up at the top. So that's a very basic overview of 3 tools you can use to help scouting right from home or from your phone to save yourself some time when you actually go out and look at a property. They're not going to be a substitution for physically going somewhere and taking a look, but hopefully they can help you save some time and improve your chances of success during hunting season.